every sign's strongest hours today, and the one stretch that suits routine work rather than fresh starts are coming in this reading. Welcome and a warm Sunday to you. These readings are based on your Vedic moon sign, the sidereal moon, not your birthday sun sign. So listen for the sign, the moon Saturn, when you were born. Readings today are from your moon sign. The link below finds yours in 10 seconds. Our Panchanga is anchored to New Delhi. Krishna Ekadashi runs until 11:05 in the morning, and today is honored as Kamika Ekadashi, a gentle day for restraint and generosity. Mrigashira Nakshatra holds until 2:43 in the afternoon, favoring curious, searching work. Rahu Kala falls from 5:26 to 7:06 in the evening, a good stretch for tidying, reviewing and finishing rather than launching. If you can, share a plate of food with someone today, asking nothing in return. Aries, your mind is quick and light today, and that lightness is your real advantage. Yesterday, the moon sat in your second house of earnings and belongings, so money and worth were quietly on your mind. Today, the moon and Mars both move through your third house, the place of courage, siblings and short journeys, which favors conversations, messages and small brave asks at work. Say the thing plainly and let the morning carry it before the Ekadashi Tithi closes at 11:05 in the morning. In relationships, Aries, your ruler Mars is the reason courage reaches you before caution does. And here that means you speak first and warm the room. Keep it kind with a sibling or a neighbor, and a short trip or visit is well supported. For energy, the Sun and exalted Jupiter sit in your fourth house of home and roots. So rest indoors restores you more than effort outdoors, and the evening Rahu Kala window is a fine time to slow down. That is the shape of the day, a light mind carrying steady ground beneath it. If someone near you keeps stumbling over something you already understand, sit with them and show them patiently, expecting nothing at all in return. Carry this lightly and have a truly good day. Taurus, today favors quiet consolidation of what you already own rather than reaching for anything new. Yesterday, the moon opened in your first house of self and vitality, close to home, so your mind likely moved through the hours at its own settled pace. Now the moon and Mars move through your second house of money, possessions and what you value, which makes this a good window for looking honestly at your accounts and your belongings. Venus rules you, and you build slowly, and you build things that hold, so a small tidy of your finances before 11:05 in the morning suits you better than a bold decision. In relationships, Saturn sits retrograde in your 11th house of friendships and gains, casting its full third aspect, and this supports patient, unhurried conversations with your circle. Taurus, let the ones you trust speak first today. For your energy, Sunday carries the Sun in Cancer as the period lord, and your steadiness holds best if you keep the stretch from 5:26 to 7:06 in the evening for rest rather than errands. So the day settles where it began, in what is already yours. Let one useful thing you no longer need pass quietly to someone who does, asking nothing back. The day is yours to shape. Shape it kindly. Gemini, your own light is the clearest thing in the sky today, and it makes you easy to hear. Yesterday leaned toward retreat and quiet letting go, so a slower start was honest, not a failing. Now the moon moves through Gemini itself, your first house of self. vitality, and how you come across, with Mars there too, adding steadiness to your presence. For work and money, the Sun, Mercury, and an exalted Jupiter all gather in Cancer in your second house of earnings, words, and family resources, which favors an honest conversation about value. Ask for what your work is worth plainly. In relationships, Gemini, your ruler Mercury gives you curiosity as an engine and connection that costs you no effort. So today the payoff of that clear voice arrives. Say the thing you have been circling. Venus sits debilitated in Virgo in your fourth house of home and inner comfort. So let the domestic details stay simple rather than perfect. For energy, the Ekadashi Tithi closes at 11:05 in the morning and Mrigashira Nakshatra later in the day. So front load anything demanding and keep the evening light. The day begins in retreat and ends in your own voice. Say the encouraging word you have been meaning to say, unasked, expecting nothing back. Move through today at your own pace. It is the right one. Cancer, today asks less of you than you think, and that lightness is the gift. Yesterday, the moon moved through your 11th house of gains, friends, and wider networks, so the day likely felt social and outward facing, full of other people's voices. Today, the moon moves into your 12th house, the place of rest, retreat, and letting go, which favors quiet finishing over new launches. For work and money, close loops rather than open them, and use the morning while Mrigashira holds until 2:43 in the afternoon for the task you keep postponing. Venus sits debilitated in your third house of effort and communication, so keep messages simple and warm rather than clever, Cancer, and let a short pause do the persuading. In relationships, that softness is your strength, ruled by the moon. You read a room before anyone in it says so. And today, that reading is unusually accurate. For energy, the sun leads your period from your own first sign, so protect sleep and take a slower window between 5 to 26 and 7-6 in the evening. The day settles what yesterday's crowd stirred up. If you can, quietly do a chore that was never yours and tell no one it was you. May the day meet you kindly and leave you a little lighter. Leo, warmth arrives ahead of you today, and that alone opens doors that argument never would. Yesterday, your mind had an easy grip on career and public standing, and that steadiness likely made you feel usefully in charge. Now the moon moves through your 11th house of gains, friendships, and wider networks, with Mars there too. So work and money matters progress best through people rather than paperwork. Reach out to a colleague or an old contact today. A conversation is likely to move something that a solo push would not. In relationships, Leo, the sun rules you and sits in Cancer in your 12th house of rest and retreat, alongside exalted Jupiter. So your generosity today is quieter and more inward than usual. Give someone your undivided attention instead of your best performance, and let the closeness of that be enough. For energy, Venus is debilitated in your second house of what you hold and speak, so a softer voice serves you better than a strong one, especially in the early evening hours around Rahu Kala. The sociable rhythm you began the day with settles best in a small gesture. Thank someone whose work usually goes unnoticed, plainly, expecting nothing at all in return. Whatever today asks of you, you have met harder days than this. Virgo, Your work is being watched today in the kindest way, and steady thinking is what people will remember. Yesterday, your mind rested in the ninth house of belief and long learning, a quieter, softer stretch, and you likely felt the pace, ease. Now the moon moves through your 10th, the house of career and standing, so your judgment lands where decisions are made. Mars sits there too, casting its full fourth aspect, which can hurry your pace. Let precision, which is instinct for you under Mercury, set the speed instead. In partnership matters, Saturn in your 7th house, the house of one-to-one relationships, casts its full aspect back across you, so agreements want patience rather than speed. Say the honest, unhurried thing, Virgo, and let the other person answer in their own time. For energy, the Sun in Cancer, as today's period, Lord keeps warmth in your circle of gains. Though Sunday asks you to protect one slow hour, yesterday's quiet has become today's visible steadiness, which is the shape of the whole arc. If someone you know is unwell, sit with them today and let them set the pace of the conversation, expecting nothing at all. Let today be useful rather than perfect. Libra, today rewards uncomplicated effort more than clever maneuvering, and that suits you. Yesterday, the moon opened in your 8th house of shared resources and deep change, so you may have felt things stirring beneath the surface. Today, the moon moves into your 9th house of belief, learning, and long journeys, alongside Mars, which favors steady progress on work that has a longer horizon. With the Sun, Mercury, and an exalted Jupiter gathered in your 10th house of career and public standing, your effort is visible, so pick one task that matters and finish it plainly. Venus rules you, Libra, and you find the balance point in almost any room. That gift is worth spending on people today. Venus sits in your 12th house of retreat and letting go, which supports quieter, more private connection rather than crowded rooms. Sunday is a good window for shorter conversations and honest ones. Keep the evening hours between 5:26 and 7:06 for rest rather than fresh starts. And let Mrigashira, which ends at 2:43 in the afternoon, carry your sharpest thinking. Let today's steadiness be its own reward. If you can, share a meal with someone who is hungry, expecting nothing back. Your free full chart is waiting on the website whenever you want to look deeper. Walk gently today and let the day come to you. Scorpio, today rewards depth over speed, and you already know how to sit with what others rush past. Yesterday, the moon opened in your 7th house of partnership and close alliances, so the mind likely felt steadied by someone close. Today, the moon moves into your 8th house of shared resources and deep change, joined by Mars there. So, money that is jointly held, a loan, a repayment, a split cost, is worth a slow and honest look rather than a quick decision. Mars rules you, and your resilience is easy to underestimate, including by you. Scorpio, Jupiter sits exalted in your 9th house of guidance and casts its full 5th aspect, which favors asking an older, wiser voice for perspective before you settle anything. In relationships, say the smaller true thing rather than the whole weighted one. Chandrashtama applies to you today and lifts at 4:43 on Tuesday morning. So keep the day light, rest earlier, and let the harder conversations wait a day. The 8th house asks for inwardness, not effort. If you can, set out a bowl of water or a little food where a stray animal or the birds will find it. Quietly, expecting nothing at all. May today bring you one moment worth remembering. Sagittarius, today favors the conversation you have been circling because the person across from you is readier to meet you than you expect. Yesterday, the moon opened in your sixth house of daily work and routine, so your mind likely carried the day with unusual ease. Venus moves through Virgo in your 10th house of career and public work. Debilitated there, which simply means visible effort asks patience of you rather than polish. Finish one small task before 11:05 in the morning while Krishna Ekadashi holds. Something is waiting in your conversations and it arrives shortly. Sagittarius, both the moon and Mars travel your 7th house of partnership and close alliances, and Mars casts its full aspect from there. Your talks carry heat and warmth at once, so let the other person finish their sentence. Ruled by Jupiter, optimism is your default, and the honest search matters to you more than arriving, which is what keeps a warm exchange from turning into a contest. Saturn sits retrograde in your 4th house of home and inner ground, casting its full 10th aspect. So pace yourself and keep the window from 5 to 26 to 7:6 in the evening light. The ease you carried yesterday now moves outward into company. Give someone your full, unhurried attention while they speak, asking nothing back. Go easy on yourself today. The stars are patient and you can be too. Capricorn, today rewards the quiet competence you already have. Small tasks done well will carry the whole day. Yesterday, the moon sat in your 5th house of creativity and romance, an easy creative hum, so you may still be carrying some of that lightness. Now it moves through your 6th house of daily work, health and routine, which gives your mind a capable footing for the backlog you have been circling. Clear the practical items before 11:05 in the morning, while Ekadashi still holds, and watch what opens across the table by afternoon. Capricorn, that table matters. Exalted Jupiter, the Sun and Mercury all sit in your 7th house of partnership, each casting a full aspect straight back at you. So a partner or colleague is likely to meet you halfway when you speak plainly. You are ruled by Saturn. You play the long game by nature, not by discipline. And today that patience reads as trustworthy. Mars in that same 6th house casts its full 8th aspect. So pace your energy. Mrigashira closes at 2:43 in the afternoon, a fine marker to slow down. Small, well-handled tasks are the whole story today. Somewhere along the way, help someone carry a load that is too heavy for them alone, asking nothing back. Wishing you a calm and steady day ahead. Aquarius, today favors the idea you have been quietly turning over, so give it room to breathe. Yesterday, the moon opened in your house for your home and inner ground, so a part of you likely spent the day wanting stillness rather than motion. Today, the moon and Mars both move through Gemini in your 5th house of creativity, romance, and children, which supports fresh, playful thinking at work, and Saturn, your ruler, sits retrograde in your 2nd house of money and speech, favoring a careful second look at what you say and spend before committing. Venus is debilitated in your 8th house, Aquarius. So with people, keep your words simple and generous rather than clever. A plain sentence carries more warmth today than a perfect one. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer in your sixth house of daily work and well being, which supports steady routines, and Mrigashira Nakshatra runs until 2:43 in the afternoon, a good window for your sharpest thinking. This is the payoff of that quiet yesterday. Your rested mind now sees the angle nobody else tried. Before the day closes, call or visit someone who has been alone lately, and let that attention be the whole of it. Let today be simple. That is enough. Pisces, this is a day for keeping things simple, and simplicity will feel like relief rather than restriction. Yesterday, the mind moved lightly through the third from your moon sign, the ground of courage and short journeys, and you likely found words came easily. Today, the moon settles into your fourth, the place of home, family, and inner ground. So, work and money matters go best handled from a settled desk rather than a crowded schedule. With the sun, your period lord, sitting in Cancer in your fifth, the house of creativity and the heart, one clear idea is worth more than five half-finished ones. In relationships, Pisces, Venus stands debilitated in the seventh, your house of partnership, so let warmth be plain and unadorned. A simple, honest sentence lands better than a grand gesture today. Jupiter, your own ruler, is exalted in that fifth house and throws its full ninth aspect across the chart. And this is where your gift shows. Compassion moves you first, and imagination reaches where analysis cannot. For energy, keep the late afternoon light. Since Ekadashi Tithi releases at 11:05 in the morning and the day softens after, let the simplicity land as kindness. Offer your seat, your place in the queue, or 20 unhurried minutes to someone who needs it more, asking nothing back. May something small go beautifully right for you today. Wherever this day finds you, may it move at a pace you can meet, with steady hands, clear thinking, and people around you who are glad you are there. Take what fits your life today and gently set aside what does not, because a reading is a companion, never a rule book, and you remain the one walking the road. If a moment of quiet comes your way, use it kindly on yourself and on someone who could use a little of your attention. If today's sky was useful, subscribing keeps it coming every morning.